Thank you for your interest in the Retained Recruiter show powered by iIntro. Before the show starts, I have a small favour to ask of you. Our goal is to provide you with the most insightful, helpful and practical recruitment knowledge and know-how from the best in the recruitment industry. If you like this channel and enjoy watching our content, hit the subscribe button to get notified as soon as we upload a new episode. Thank you again, and as ever, we're rooting for your success. Now, time for the show.
Oh, I do love that jingle. Anyway, welcome to the Retained Recruiter show. My name is James.
And my name is Jo, and welcome to you all. Thanks very much for joining. We've got a really packed show this week, haven't we, James? And we're not alone.
We are not alone. We have Finn Patrick. Finn,
Very
welcome.
To be back. Thanks for having me.
Well, listen, Finn's joined us before, so if you've not caught any of his other shows, please do look back. We have a whole catalogue of the Retained Recruiter shows. What number is this one, Jo?
That is a great question. 74.
I think I read 67 or something like that.
Yeah.
Well done.
Jo's numerically dyslexic. I think she said 76, but it's 67 really. So
right,
that's right.
That's true.
Yeah,
I married my
me.
for a reason.
Anyway, we're joined today by Finn Patrick. As I mentioned, Finn's got a distinguished career history working for some of the top tech firms. Obviously, a marketeer through and through, and we're delighted to have him today joining us to talk through, some really interesting points, because I think we'll all agree that 2024 has been a tough year for most, not all, of course. So those of you who are doing well, don't feel too smug, because many people out there finding the market tough. But we're going to talk today about what content works when the market gets tough, or even is tough. So Finn, welcome again. Thank you for joining us, and we're looking forward to extracting some information, and also hopefully some nice takeaways for the people who have who've chosen to listen to us today, whether that be live or on listen back.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it.
Good. Jo, do you want to kick off?
Yeah, sure. So we've got quite a few points that we want to get through. It is only 30 minutes, so we'll get straight to it. Things that we want to talk about today is obviously what content works. We're going to talk about which content strategies create noise versus generate leads, and when to expect leads. So how to turn those likes into leads, which I think is really difficult sometimes. How to create effective marketing quickly and not spend weeks and months and years, creating stuff to go out there. When to use marketing automation and AI. So we're going to have a conversation around that. And then finally, what to look for when hiring a marketing professional or an agency, and the trigger points, I think, that might allow a business to reach that conclusion. So let's kick it off, James. What's the first question we have for our expert today?
Well, a little bit of a spoiler at the last point you mentioned, what to look for when hiring a marketing professional. Everyone around here is on your screen. He's in the middle anyway. So that's a spoiler alert for it. But no, Finn, let's just jump in, and people are here today to listen to some of your content. We're going to sort of try and encourage some answers out of you as well. But let's talk about a lot of people are just involved in the marketplace and just seem content. see what I did there? Content with just getting content out there, which makes noise, but we're in business to do business, and we're in business to generate leads. So what's your take on activity versus results, let's say?
Yeah. Well, let's start with the word content, because I think it's one of the most misleading kind of concepts out there. Basically, it's taking the place of marketing in general. And we really think about, what's the definition of content in its simplest sense. It's basically stuff that fills an empty space, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that it's good, it's right, it's going to help your business, or it's going to help somebody else's business, right? And those are the things that really, I think, hold people back from releasing, let's say, good, kind of measurable insights onto, that's going to really help their following and the marketplace, right? So I'm going to start just by busting just a few kind of marketing myths, because LinkedIn has become, a kind of emptiness machine of, content, advice, if you like, right? And we're all guilty of it, and all it takes is, to see the same kind of context parroted multiple times to think, well, that's the way you must do it, right? So the first one is, the kind of concept that, somebody must know, like, and trust you. before they're going to buy from you. Now, while that's true, what that means to a business is they start thinking, well, how can I get somebody to know me, like me, then trust me, right? And we're actually thinking about it in the wrong order, because trust is in short supply in the recruitment industry, but it's in high demand at the same time as well, right? So the fastest way to kind of shortcut that overthinking is to really focus on how can I put out trust building content, right? Because when you're doing that, people are, pretty instantly going to start knowing you and liking you at the same time, because they can trust what it is that you're saying. All right. And there's ways in which to do that. Now, with the generalization of content as well, what that translates as is, well, if I put out information, right? We've heard the kind of term on LinkedIn that's parroted as well, give value, right? Well, that's true. It's like, well, how do you actually give value, right? That typically translates as give information, right? But it's not necessarily useful or actionable to somebody else, right? What people are really looking for is insight, right? Insight is what drives action and motivation within an industry, right? And if you're looking to generate leads from your content as well, like I ask a lot of people who are asking me about content, what is it you're looking to achieve? Oh, well, I want more leads. Okay, and it's like, well, if you're following the personal brand formula, for example, of get yourself out there as much as possible, that's not necessarily going to generate leads. And I do speak to a lot of people, but even if they conquer getting that social proof, the likes, the shares, the page likes, the kind of vanity metrics and so forth, they're still struggling to actually generate leads. And so it kind of comes down to this, is that if you want leads, then you have to lead, right? And that's quite a scary thing to do, because you don't know all the answers necessarily, right? But you have a very interesting viewpoint in the marketplace. You work with clients, you see what's happening from a trend point of view in the marketplace, and we're kind of wired for survival, right? So when the market does get tough, it's like people go into survival modes, right? And they gravitate to what the most safe, right? Now, the best way in which to kind of magnetize people towards you is by just providing that insight. What I see, okay, is X, Y, and Z. All right. Being bold enough and courageous enough to be wrong sometimes. Nobody has a crystal ball and knows what's going to happen next. But what these kind of dots are, right? So I call them dots. We kind of collect dots as we go along within our kind of working day, and that amounts to our own experience. But it allows people on the outside to start connecting dots, right? And start thinking, you know what, there is a way out of the situation that I'm in, or this challenge that I have is surmountable, okay? So when you're able to provide that kind of insight into what's happening, especially within a tough market, you're automatically seen as an authority, right? Depending on the ways in which you do it, there's multiple ways. I usually would recommend two different ways of showing up within the marketplace that are really, really quick. Video is a great thing to do. You don't need a kind of Hollywood setup and so forth in which to do it. This content within itself that we're created, there's a specific problem in the title, so we're problem led. Okay, we're going to be, we're talking about that just now, but this is something that we're doing live, right? It's not scripted. We've all rolled up 5 minutes before we go live pretty much, and we are doing it right now. We're creating content on the fly, okay? But this is something that can then be chopped up. It can be, multi-purposed across multiple channels and that kind of thing. So there are ways in which to do this. Get yourself known out there, but also not just known, but known for knowing something specific. And that's ultimately the goal that you want to achieve when it comes to creating content.
Yeah. Do you sometimes think that recruiters underplay or undervalue the amount of dots that they actually do collect on a daily basis? We don't maybe leverage the information that we have and the observations that we make every day.
Yeah. So, I mean, the challenge is when, if we talk about putting dots out there, is first of all, the dots need to be easy to connect, right? If you're just throwing dots out there like a scatter, like imagine Skittles just being flung out along the marketplace, right? You're just going to confuse the market, right? So it's very, very important to understand where your strengths are, okay? And a lot of focus generally comes from saying no, right? So the best way to kind of cut through the noise is by saying, no, I'm not going to say the same thing as X, Y, and Z, because that's what everybody else is saying, right? What are the new things? What are the new insights that nobody else is providing? Okay. A great way of actually generating that is by looking at what other people are posting. And if you disagree with what's being said, or you see there's a different way in which to get that point out there, rather than arguing in the comment section, which is what most people gravitate towards, right? Start producing your own content with your own voice and your own viewpoint, right? Because that's what people are going to benefit from. And the right people that are made for you, not made for you, but are meant for you, are going to gravitate towards you.
Hey, listen, I think there's a couple of things I just want to pick out there. First of all, I'm going to pick out a lovely quote, and I think Palmer's picked up as well. But I heard you say it, and I thought, I like that. If you want leads, you have to lead. Beautiful, really insightful. You then said something, and I'm going to sort of pick on something that I've heard previously, and somebody listening to this is going to recognise it. But you said you've got to be meaningful, and you were just sort of saying that when you're looking at about that particular point. And there's this quote that we use, which is, don't be a wandering generality, be a meaningful specific. And the way I'm going to sort of interpret that is what you said there is, don't just like join the crowd, be a wandering generality. And I commented because, you've got a tick box exercise that says I've got to comment on 15 things in a day or whatever it might be. Actually lift that, create the content, be a voice, be an authority, and that's what we're all seeking to do in this side of things, and actually put something out there. So I think some really good, crystal clear points that people can pick up on there. Now, listen, we've worked with Finn for a long time, and here at iIntro, we do help you on all aspects of the journey with the customer. So seeing those people through the marketing phase, through the business development phase, and through the delivery phase. And if you want to book some time with us, there's a link up there above our head saying how you can get on a call with us, where we'll actually sort of share that with you. And later on, I'm going to put up a little signpost to something Finn's going to talk about as well. So stay tuned, because we've got something coming up which is both complementary and complementary. I'm word playing today, Finn.
You're on fire, James. I love it.
This is all for you, Finn. He doesn't do this for me,
I'm feeling well.
Right, let's move on to the next bit. So we've talked a little bit about content and what that is, and I think that's really useful for people. Let's talk about content strategies then. So not what to post, but kind of when to post it, and also where should people be putting this stuff?
Yeah. So great questions. Let's start with where. So LinkedIn is quite challenging in that, you develop a network over time, and when you do post something, only a fraction of that network is ever going to see it, right? And all it takes is for somebody that you've known from school or a previous business or something to look at your post for, say, 3 seconds or more, and it's going to skew the almighty algorithm in the wrong direction, right? So effectively the wrong people are going to see it. So the way in which I kind of tackle it, with my own clients is looking at it like building authority assets, right? Building your own corner on LinkedIn, right? So a fantastic way, if you are more into writing and not so much into video, is the newsletter kind of function on LinkedIn is fantastic, because once somebody subscribes, the kind of art is really kind of making your newsletter specific, in terms of what you're focusing on, who you're speaking to, and that kind of thing. But once somebody subscribes, every time that you post an article on there, and it can be video, not just text as well, is people get notified on LinkedIn, right? So you're staying top of mind, but they're also emailed from LinkedIn as well. So it kind of boosts that authority in terms of like when LinkedIn is recommending your content, but it's not just on LinkedIn, it's on email. That's a fantastic way to get your kind of expertise out there. Okay. The other way as well, there's long form video, which, I'd consider this kind of long form video in terms of like it's above 5 minutes, right? This is a great way of going really, really deep in a topic, name what it is that you're talking about. We've got this Retained Recruiter show. We've got the target audience in the title, right? So make it really clear and make it really obvious who it is that you're looking to speak to. But then the short form video as well. And one way which is really good is if everybody's heard of, or anybody's heard of Loom, you can sign up for a free account, 5 minutes a video. And if you just do a walkthrough of, it could be your process, your business models, your the way in which you actually manage problems, what you do internally, and that kind of thing. That's a great thing to be able to do on the fly and very, very quickly as well. So that's kind of 3 kind of areas that are instantly authority boosting, which, you know, while everybody else is posting about, you know, an elaborate story of how they went on holiday, their bags got lost, and then tying it in with a vague business metaphor at the end, right? It doesn't have to be as elaborate as that. Usually the more specific and the more focused it is, the easier it is to understand for the audience on the other side. So that's 3 kind of, like I say, authority assets that are great to develop. And it's not an overnight thing, but it's a momentum thing. You reach a tipping point where people just start noticing you more and more because they gravitate towards the places that you show up. And if you're delivering valuable insights over and over again, not the same content, so to speak, but different, like usually if you divide, you know, your expertise into 3 or 4 different areas, that's a fantastic way to stand out. And, you know, just to speak about something that's I think is really, really important is we often get the kind of the very shallow advice of differentiate yourself. So I just want to speak really quickly about how one can differentiate themselves, especially in a tough market. Okay. So I've mentioned the first one a lot, which is expertise. Now, in a recruitment business, recruitment is very much a commodity in terms of the actual process of recruiting is a commodity within itself. The one thing that differentiates you from the rest of the market is the expertise behind that recruitment. Okay, so how you can actually help clients navigate the challenges and the difficulties of the hiring process is going to make you stand out over somebody who's just sending CVs. Okay, so that's an instant way to differentiate yourself, which nobody can compete with because it's unique to you, right? Your viewpoint of the world, your experiences, your story, that's completely different to everybody else's. Okay, so that's an excellent way of building more of an expertise-led brand than just being known in the marketplace. Okay, the second one is your process, right? If you've got a process for providing consistent results to your clients, then you need to showcase that process, right? Because the reason people buy is based on the level of how much they believe that you can deliver on your promise. Okay, and that's one of the things that I really love about iIntro and working with you guys is you actually provide that to the recruitment market in terms of we have something that's proven, right? There's an end-to-end process that you can use with your recruitment firm, right? And it will help your team stay on track. It will help your sales stay on track and also help your marketing as well. Because when you've got a specific process that you use over and over again, you get better as a provider as well. So that puts you in the kind of the ring of the premium provider as well. And the last one, which is really a really good way of standing out, which gets your personality out there, is how you overcome problems, right? And the way in which somebody overcomes problems is a massive reflection into who they are as a person, right? You can tell a lot about somebody by how they resolve challenges and problems for their clients. Okay. And that's a massive insight. And it asks the sales question, which is, what does working with you look like? Okay. Now, if you used all of the suggestions that I've made there, people can see what it is like to work with you before they've even had a sales conversation, right? So that know, like, and trust element is already there because you're focusing on trust building content first.
Brilliant.
Excellent. Listen, I hope people are making notes here because there's some corkers coming out there. So, yeah, and I think in terms of looking at some of the ways that people can generate that content, Finn, is something that people are coming on to. So let's move on to things like AI in marketing, and why don't we elevate?
You're on fire today. What's going on?
I'm trying to lead into that AI comment because I think it's one of those giveaway words that says there, but it's here to stay. So let's talk about when to use marketing automation and AI. So let's get your take on that one, Finn.
Yeah. So excellent question again. So we all want the easy push button that's going to give us the overnight results and so forth. I think it's pretty fair to say that since the emergence of AI, and a lot of people will have heard of Chat GPT and those kind of things, not everybody is experiencing more leads, right? So let's talk about that first of all. AI is not going to capture your expertise, okay? And that's one great thing about the future of AI and that kind of things. It's never going to replicate a human's experience, their expertise and insights, and how that's going to benefit a client. All right, so that kind of gives us confidence in the future, because there's a lot of fear around AI and how it's going to take over humans. We're essentially the generation that was warned about Skynet and the emergence of robots and that kind of thing, and we're now the generation that's building it, right? So that's kind of terrifying within itself. But there's a big optimism there in the AI is never going to replicate what you can do. People are always going to need that human touch, and I think a lot of people can relate to that in terms of when we had the pandemic in 2020. There was a lot of people were lacking connection and that kind of thing, and that's what people need, right? So not just offering connection, but connection to somebody that's reliable, trustworthy, somebody that's going to listen and understand their problems and that kind of thing, who's somebody who cares about the problems. AI can't replicate that, right? So that means that AI is never going to outperform you or outcompete you from a differentiation and a human touch point of view. But using it within your marketing, like I kind of said before, people seeing it as the easy switch, it's just producing more noise. Okay, so kind of trimming it down, really thinking about what is it that I think, what is it that I see, and how can I put that over to the marketplace as quickly as possible. Create your own push button where basically, I've kind of done a lot of internal work myself in terms of what's different about the advice that I give versus the rest of the market. Now, what's kind of common in marketing is everybody says the same thing. So it's actually quite easy to differentiate. The other thing is as well is that, recruitment firms are often looking at marketers that have never sold a retainer in their life, right? Or they've never sold something that's over 2K, and most marketers are just really good at selling marketing courses, right? So that's the thing, is that following advice that sounds good is very different from following advice that actually works within your industry, right? And so that's the thing, is that within recruitment, it is easy to stand out and just think it's an expertise-led business. If you're going to be a premium consultancy, right? That's the word there, consultancy, right? It means that people are paying for your expertise as well as your recruitment fulfillment, if you like. All right. Stop thinking of recruitment as just placing somebody in a position. Think about, how do we actually help people navigate the challenges of doing that, and doing it in a way that's the most effective.
Yeah, absolutely. I love your comment about Skynet, by the way. I think we've had quite a few conversations about AI on these shows, and different people coming on and talking about it. And I think one of the things that rings true about it is that if it's used as a tool, as a supplementary tool, it can actually be really useful. Maybe not for the creation of original thought, but certainly for things like AI note takers. Today, we're doing this show. AI note taker can turn that into transcripts and scripts or blogs or all sorts of different things. So I think technology can really help us on that side of things. I'm interested to hear your thoughts, Finn, about automating our marketing and whether you think it's a good idea, and maybe some of the kind of health warnings, I suppose, that are attached to automation, which I sometimes think people see it as it's a quick fix. I can blast a message out to 1,000 people. Excellent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. just to touch on something you mentioned there to do with AI, like so the thing that I use AI for only and predominantly is idea generation, right? Because what's great is you can ask AI, you can feed in a piece that you've written and say, come up with ways in which I can multi-purpose this across different platforms, right? Or what's a great continuation piece from this that I can now write? So as soon as you get a headline, it's like, oh, I can write about that, right? So rather than trying to do, the creative process from a blank page, I think AI is great because it's like you can generate things really, really quickly. And, if you say generate 5 headlines or, 10 headlines, you can pick the one that you gravitate to the most, and it just gets you started. Because that's the challenge, is the white page syndrome, right? Is like, what do I write about today? And that's the great thing about planning, is that you can actually just use it to kind of inspire you and get things flowing, right? But to move over to automation, and you're right, Joe, it's like people do see it as an easy fix. The challenge is that it's a multiplier at the end of the day, right? And if you're getting no results at the moment, then you're multiplying 0, right? So if you're multiplying 0, you're going to get 0. All right. So that's just a great way of understanding how automation works. It's the same with ads as well. All right. When you're putting money behind ads, if what you're doing isn't working at the moment, you're just multiplying what doesn't work. Right. What automation is really good at is testing and validating something. All right. What we really need to do in a kind of sequence and strategic process is, first of all, get product to market fit, right? That's the area where most people fall down. They don't actually have a problem that they solve that's clear to the end market where there's demand already. Okay. And that's really the kind of the first step. Now you can test that through using some automation, and I would say use it on a small audience. The problem is that if you do it with a massive audience, then you're potentially going to ruin your reputation in the grand scheme of things, or you're going to confuse the market at best, right? So that kind of testing and validating piece is super, super important. And what you're doing is you're collecting dots yourself so that you can then make data-driven decisions as to how can I make a strategic shift in the right direction, right? So there's kind of markers that you can see, right? People are clicking on this headline, but they're not clicking the call to action at the end. What do I need to do here, right? Rather than burn it down and try and build something else up again from scratch, right? That's typically what we try and do. It's like, I kind of talk about golf with James. James is the golfer, not I. But if you approach the golf course expecting to hit a hole in one every time you strike a ball, you're going to be sorely disappointed, right? It's exactly the same when it comes to automation, right? It takes a few different strokes to kind of test and validate, and then make small iterations as you go along to get yourself in the right direction. It's very similar to, flying a plane. A plane never flies exactly in line between London and New York, right? That's why the co-pilot's there. It's like, we're so many degrees off course. We need to do this in order to shift back to our line, right? And it's staying within that line and continually being able to do so, which is going to get you to your end result faster. So there's another kind of thing I like to share with people. Like, everybody's chasing shortcuts, right? Because the marketing of marketing kind of claims that marketing is the great shortcut to getting the dream life and the dream business and that kind of thing, right? But shortcuts will keep you small, right? Making strategic shifts is really going, that's where the results come from. And listening to the market as well, right? Being a great listener, it's the same in marketing as it is in sales. Being able to listen to what the market needs now is a great way of actually informing what it is that you need to do with your business, right? So shortcuts will keep you small, and the effective shortcuts are they are the right things done in the right order anyway, right? That's the most effective shortcut there is, right? But it's going to take you some time to get there if you're just jumping from shortcut to shortcut.
Sure.
Yeah.
Phil, I'm going to jump in here. So, Yeah, we start off the conversation today with what content works when making it about, and obviously as people have started to plan into 2025, I think we've got a couple of things that we want to share with people. So I'll let you talk about that. And when you finish talking about what you want to talk about, I want to add a special offer onto what you're about to say. So over to you. What can we offer people who are
Ooh.
listening in today?
I'm intrigued, James, already with your cliffhanger there. I love it. So yeah, one thing that I'm doing for people to prepare for next year, because now's the best time to prepare for next year, not just waiting till January and going, right, okay, Christmas and New Year's done. What the hell are we doing? All right. So I'm offering a free content plan, right? So coming up with a content plan that you can follow and do as effortlessly as possible, that is in alignment with your business, the audience that you serve, and is going to generate leads for your business. All right. That's importantly what it's going to do. All right.
So if they go to that website, Finn, will they get, is that a diary link to your diary, is it?
Yeah. So if you go to www.contentmasterplan.com, it will take you straight to my Calendly calendar, and you can book just a half an hour. It allows me to get to know your business a little bit, what your viewpoint is on the industry, and how you can turn those insights and incentivize customers to buy from you.
Brilliant. And listen, so I said I'd have a little cliffhanger. So for anybody who looks at that, if you subsequently or before then become an iIntro client and reference this particular conversation, one of the services, so Finn's offering that service to you totally free of charge. That's going to come your way. So take that half an hour. It's a free opportunity. But if you then decide to work with Finn, and obviously, the last question we had today, what to look for when hiring a marketing professional? Well, I say it's in the middle of the screen, so we don't have to sort of spend too much time on that one. But if you subsequently work with Finn and you're also an iIntro client, so if you want to book some time with us, there's a new fresh link coming up on the page, top of the page. It says www.retainedcall.com. Up it pops any second now. If you subsequently become a client, I will fund your first month's engagement with Finn. Yeah, so that's complimentary.
That's
so
what you
I
call
will
an
fund
offer, James.
that on that side of things. But they have to reference it with you and me, Finn. So when you book a call with us, say, hey, if I take up Finn on that offer, and the answer will be yes. And if you talk to Finn before you talk to us, mention that to him. And if you subsequently book a meeting with us and then come and become a client of iIntro, I will also fund the first months of engagement with Finn as well. So remember to shout me out on that particular offer.
Fantastic.
Nice. That's great.
Joe, do you want to wrap up and a few things? I'm just conscious of the time, and just a few things to sort of wrap up before we disappear. But it's been a great session, Finn. I'm hoping people have taken away 1,000,001 things. I have.
Yes, do you know? I think it's been an amazing session. We do record the session. It is available on YouTube. All of our videos, so 67 of them now, are available on YouTube. And I think it's been a great session, Finn. Thanks ever so much for coming on, and hopefully you'll come on again in the new year and give us some updates on the content marketing plan. We have got another session in a couple of weeks. We will be launching our promo about that in a week or so, but a couple more sessions to squeeze in before we finish for the Christmas period.
Yeah.
But it's been a great show. Thank you very much for joining us, Finn. Before we leave, any final words from you?
So just to touch on the point of, when it comes to hiring somebody within marketing, what's really, really important is to understand, or to make sure that they understand your market, right? So asking specific questions about, what do you know? And if it's a niche market that you work in, what kind of results, what kind of experience have you had in the past? And a simple question is, do you know the difference between retained recruitment and contingency recruitment? And most marketers won't, right? So that's, one reason as to why, my clients get a lot of kind of value with working with me as well, because I understand their industry. Obviously, I've worked with iIntro in the past as well, and very, very proud of that too. So all of those things together kind of puts me in a category of one. So I'm preaching, what I'm preaching to everybody else. I'm doing the same as well, because that I know that's what works. I'm not one of these marketers that says go and do this and then does something else entirely. So that's another really good thing to look at. Do they actually do what it is that they're asking you to do, right? And I think that's really, really important from an integrity point of view. We do live in, a kind of world where, marketing, there's a low barrier to entry, just like there is in the recruitment world, right? What separates the top tier of marketers from the bottom tier is those that work with integrity, can do things ethically, and can do it without lying. And that's essentially the pathway for recruitment firms as well.
Amen.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, listen, answered the last question without us even asking it. So that's brilliant. Listen, thanks very much, everybody, for listening in today. Hope you've enjoyed the show. As I say, I think we've shared some real gems. You get the chance to listen back to it. Just click on the link and you'll be able to watch the show right from the beginning and pick up some of those amazing, impressive lines. So it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me. And it's goodbye from Finn.
Goodbye from me as well. Thanks, folks.
See you soon.
Thanks,
All the best now. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Yo.